Hi, welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev.
Good morning.
Hello, hello, hello.
How's it going? I got my glasses on.
It's good. It's good. Very good.
So you say so funny a second ago, are you grounded? Apparently not. I'm sitting here like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready whenever you are.
She's all over the place.
I am. And
Well,
it's super windy out.
just take a moment, put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in, exhale, feel your feet on the floor, take a deep breath in, exhale. Maybe tap on that heart center, just a few taps there, activating the heart center, that thymus gland. Take a deep breath in, exhale. Awesome. Just take that hand down, take a breath in, and exhale. All right, let's open our eyes and let's be here now, since this is what we have right now. Oh, yeah, you know what? We have no agenda and we never do. And here we are. So I told Bev we could just make funny faces for an hour and see how that goes.
But I think the good start was just talking about just getting back to being grounded. That's a daily activity. So it's something to consider. And it's like something I consider usually every morning and every night. And if I feel a little bit off during the daytime, that off meaning that I'm kind of scatterbrained. I'm looking all over the place. I'm forgetting what I'm looking for when I walk into another space. I'm tired, exhausted. I'm thinking too much, worrying too much. There's all these little things that's like, it just me. A lot of it can just be, I'm just not grounded. I'm just not in that space. So it's like, it's such a good reminder. And it's easy to walk around your whole day that day in that space if you don't ever even consider how you're feeling or anything like that, because you don't ever stop to think, oh gosh, I'm feeling kind of flighty today. Oh, I just missed my turn, laughing it off, because it's like a light in between space of reality and non-reality, it feels like. But it's also being aware that it just feels scattered. It doesn't feel very productive.
So what does it mean to be grounded?
Grounded to me means to be like in your feet. Like if you're to me, a lot of it's like in your skin suit. I would always think about being grounded and being in one of those onesies that have the footies in it. And then you're partially like your zipper is like struggling on you right here and it's pulling against you because you don't even have your feet all the way down into your skin. It's like you're not all the way into the earth. You're just not balance. To me, it's like if there's a lot of balance, that's a harmony thing too, because I can't just be all spiritual and all spiritual guided up in my head and flighty and feeling that highness all the time without having that connection to the earth and being grounded, being set in my form.
And we're spiritual beings, right? And human.
Yeah.
And to bring harmony to the two, learning to navigate being connected to our spiritual side and be in the human body. So there's so many, I know I experienced it. I know you've experienced, like we were at a point in our life where we were having experiences where we didn't want to be in our physical body. So we stayed in the ethers and as an escape. And that's what we do. We many people will, in a sense, detach from the physical body because we just can't take what we're seeing and observing and understand it, let alone accept it. And so we check out. It's a way of checking out, that we stay in the spiritual side of things. That's very common for like mediums who are very connected to spirit. Like they want to hang out with them because they're fun and having a great time. Whereas the human side we see a lot or observe a lot. We experience trauma and things that weigh heavy on us. So, however, some people may not like to hear this. I didn't at first, but I've come to understand it more, is chose to be here. I chose to be here at this time. As crazy as shit is, I've chose to be here at this time. And the more I step into a spiritual practice and being a light worker, the more I understand why I'm chose to be here at this time, because I chose this path to bring light to the world, and offer up the opportunity for people to choose to see darkness or light, step into fear or love.
I feel like a lot of, so as we're talking and stuff, I feel like there's a lot of anxiety, or maybe that's not even the right word, but it's a lot of unrest, uncomfortable, because I feel like we're all, we get so used to doing things on a regular basis, these routines, these patterns all the time. And then the awareness of like, what am I to be doing here? This is very unfulfilling, and looking more towards something that's fulfilling. And it's not, it seems like such an easy statement to make, but it's for so many, and even for myself for the longest time, it was really, really hard. It felt really hard for me to even process that. And even still, I will say that there's days that I feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I know that there's things that I enjoy doing. There's things that that feel good to me, but it's like, it's so easy to be in that routine. It's like especially when you start going through spiritual stuff, you start feeling new stuff, new feelings, and you kind of want to feel this way all the time. The rest of it feels kind of stagnant, sluggish, boring, just lifeless almost. Like it just feels like there should be so much more than I even see other people talking about, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm traveling here. And it's like, man, that seems almost exhausting to be doing that too. But it's probably from that same mindset of I not knowing for sure what to be doing, which way to be pulled in a direction. And for me, it feels like it needs to be a pull in a different in a direction, like something else has control. So giving up control again to something else has control. The universe is what's guiding me, but I have control in that too. So it's like, what do I want to do? Well, I don't know what I want to do. So it goes through this whole process it feels uncomfortable at times. It really does. Sometimes I can be so sure of myself and everything's going great, and I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm enjoying massage. I'm enjoying talking to people. I'm, all these things. And at other times I feel like it's just doesn't feel good. And I feel like that's because I'm out of alignment with my highest self. I'm out of alignment with being grounded. It's in all that space. And I saw you had posted to one of our friends, it's very important for us to basically honor ourselves. It's important for us to take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves when we have others that are sick, or there's health problems, or there's transitioning of people going to non-physical, and it's like all these things going on. But it's very important for us to maintain ourselves, to maintain that practice. And I guess it seems like it's been easy to slip off that path. But the positive thing for me that I can say, when we go through these processes, we start recognizing, hey, because I have an awareness now, I'm not feeling good right now. What's going on? So checking in with myself. What do I need? Going back to the whole thought of being grounded. Are you getting caught up in everybody else's stuff right now? Which is easy to do. I've got kids that are, not feeling well right now. And it's like, there's a bunch of different stuff going on. So you kind of get wrapped up in their stuff too, but it's honoring yourself. So it's like going back to being grounded, because we're no benefit to anybody else without doing any of these things. And then the more we grow and learn, the more of a benefit we are to other people too, because it's like I feel like a lot of people are lost. They don't know what to do. It's not the daily grind of getting up every morning and going to a job and doing this job every day, and then getting off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or if you're getting off at 8, whatever time, and then going home, eating something, and then taking a shower and going to bed and doing it all over again. That's boring. I don't feel like that's what life's all about. And do I know what life's all about? No. So I'm here just trying to figure it out.
Good for you. I mean, really good for you. Because we're all doing that.
Yeah.
Like Bev and I don't have all the answers, and we're not saying that what we're sharing is the be all do all. We're just figuring it out, and we've figured out what's working so far, and we're continue to grow and expand, meaning we're still open to new ideas, new information, more knowledge, more growth, more expansion. Like we're just open to that. So we just come and share with you what our experiences have been and how we've perceived them, how we've moved through them, what's worked. And you know what? If it's something that resonates with you, great. If not, that's okay too. We're not here to say that our way is the way. There's thousands of people teaching stuff like this, and they have different stories. They present it in a different way. So it's whatever resonates with you as the audience. Then the same with Bev and I. It's whatever resonates with us at the time. And recognizing that you do reach these, if you want to call them plateaus in your life. I just taught a class this last weekend with a handful of ladies, all of them over 40. And one of the things, because I've been asking more and more of the women that I've encountered, at what age did you decide that you needed to make a change in your life? Almost every single one of them has says around 40. And it's just because I think we're in a space of recognizing what we've been taught, what we've been shown by the significant adults around us when we were little, that none of it, like not some of it's true, not all of it's true. But we've been living that way for so long. But as we get older and we look around and we see other people doing different things, and you're like, why am I not experiencing that? Or why am I not having these adventures? Or why are they thinking that way and I think this way? And you start to question your beliefs and your programming. And you realize like things could be different from the way I've been doing it, because the way I've been doing it doesn't seem to bring me any happiness or joy. So it's allowing yourself the awareness that if your happy meter is super low, then it's probably time to look at some things to make some changes. And I want to go back to the spiritual connection, because I just strongly feel like over how many years, two decades at least, that we've been edging religion out of schools and government facilities, right? We've been edging that out. And you said, I think people are just lost right now because they're disconnected. They're disconnected from a spiritual connection. And I feel like that's such a time as now that explains even more why I chose to be here, and you chose to be here during this time. Because we, if I'm correct, you didn't have a religious upbringing either. And so I feel that puts us in a very good position to be open to other ideas of spirituality, other ideas of connection to God and the angels and anything else in the realm, spirit for sure. And so because we've been given that space in our life to question things in a different way, then when we ask, right, we've had this conversation so many times, when we ask, the answers are given. And we followed the path to for our own healing, our emotional healing, which led us to where we are right now, which is what we're sharing with everybody who watches and listens. And so I just feel like the light workers on the planet right now are now bringing in that spirituality sense of connection from a space of love, not from a space of control.
And it is getting back to that connection, because that's the same thing that I was thinking when you brought it up. because it does go all the way back to the spirituality. And if you think that retail therapy, or if you think that doing something outside of yourself is going to bring you the joy, that might last for a couple minutes, it might last for a couple days, but it's not going to last. So it is going back to that connection of the spirituality. And I feel like some people probably won't care for this conversation too much, but I feel like for me, religion, my mom was like pulled in that direction in a lot of ways, but it was off-putting for me. It was not, even as a child, it was off-putting for me. It was not a draw for me. And believe it, when you hear the kids say simple things like, I'll take the Motrin, but I don't want the Tylenol, just saying specifically, they know what their body needs. They know better than we know. They know what's going to help them at that time. I knew then as a child that it was not for me. And I feel like a lot of it was pushed on people, which almost would create a separation between you and God, or your source, or the universe. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, because none of us really likes to ever be told what to do. But and that's what it created. So a lot of people were like pushing against a lot of this stuff when it's something to embrace. And I'm not saying to embrace religion, and I'm not saying to embrace spirituality. I'm saying to embrace yourself and your connection that you have with source, with your creator. That's what I'm saying, because that connection right there is what makes you feel to me, when you're in that space, you're automatically grounded. Everything is different. You're receiving such guidance that's a lot louder. You can hear it because you've slowed down to hear it. It's we always say a still small voice, like it's something so small, but it doesn't have to be small. It just depends on how much awareness you want to give to it, because we've been trained so well to be so in awareness, or taught to pay attention to certain things that are so outside of ourselves, which keeps us separate from ourselves. It keeps you in that feeling of nothing is satisfying. It's an unsatisfactory area, but it doesn't have to be. And it's just remembering that, and remembering that connection. That's where meditation. And it's like, it was so ridiculous when I would get people, you would say it, or I'd see a meme about it. I'd get it in my cards. I'd overhear a conversation. It's like, you people really need to get off my ass. And it's like, and they're like, all my spiritual guidance, my team is like, you need to do whatever makes you happy, but apparently this isn't making you happy.
Right.
Think how good meditation might feel for you.
Yeah, Spirit's like, and how's that working for you, doing it your way?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Because we're here on free will. But for me growing up, I feel like a lot of things actually created more of a wedge, because I would push against. And I'm sure, I could say whatever I want, but I feel like it does have something to do with past lives. I feel like it's pushing against. I've been a very stubborn kid. My whole life. If you said to do this, I was going to do the opposite. If you said I couldn't do it, I was going to do it. It was always that way. And it wasn't because I was bad. It was just because I was meant to challenge what I was being taught, because I can help other people to challenge what you're hearing. Does that even feel good to you? Does that resonate with inside of you? When you hear that, does it feel like, oh yeah, that's right, that's 100%? Or does it feel like, oh God, that's uncomfortable? And sometimes uncomfortable can be a little bit confusing too, because uncomfortable doesn't necessarily mean bad. Uncomfortable can mean, oh, this might be a direction that you could go in, but for something happened in your life that it created a wedge or a block between, like, I'll use math, for instance. I didn't get math growing up, but I'm interested in like sacred geometry. I'm interested into a lot of other things. And it's like, if things would have been presented differently, I probably would perceive things differently now. So now I'm like, okay, maybe I do like math. Maybe math was my thing. And it's like, it's something confused me. I received some sort of a trauma. Maybe I was made fun of it at some point. I don't know.
It's taught.
Yeah. So it's looking into those things, or maybe guys do math and girls can do spelling really well. I don't know. There was so much stuff when I was growing up, but it's such a learning. So sometimes those uncomfortable things aren't necessarily a bad thing, because I can't say that I hate math and like sacred geometry. So I don't hate either. I'm just open to what's going to enhance my life while I'm here.
Well, first, what are you ready to receive? If you're in a space to receive the sacred geometry and embrace that, now you're ready to receive it.
Yeah.
You weren't ready to
Well, that
receive
came,
the math problems by the
yeah,
teachers that were teaching it and the parents that were making you go to school and you wanted to go party or whatever.
yeah.
Or being stubborn, right? You were being stubborn. You were telling me I have to go to school, and your push against was that I ain't gonna learn it.
Yeah. Or I just got to where I just wasn't going to school. I would just
Yeah.
write my mom notes, which luckily I didn't get in trouble for any of that stuff.
Yeah. So when I was in school, I didn't like reading. I didn't like reading whatsoever because I didn't like the topics. I didn't like the books. It just did not resonate with me whatsoever. I was bored with it. It took me forever to understand what I was even reading. And then when I was introduced to the first book that opened me up to spirit and past lives and spirituality and all that was a book by Sylvia Brown. And I took like I couldn't read enough. It was a topic that just drew me in, opened me up to new ideas, a new world, and that every book I have is those are the topics. And to read is it nonfiction? No, fiction story where it's like a storyline. So a movie and a book. I'm not interested in reading the book. I'll watch the movie, but I'm not really interested in reading the book. But I also I feed my spirit every day. So
Yeah. I mean, that helps everything. And it's when you get to these spaces and you feel this heaviness, that's for you to honor yourself. It's totally, no one else can make you do it. No
right.
one else can tell me you have to do it, or it's just like what feels good. You want to continue going in that path? Bev, do you want to continue going that path, or do you want you want some more happiness in your day? It's like, I'll take some more happiness, thank you.
I'm
But
happy.
that's an awareness. If you don't have an awareness, you just don't know. You're just kind of falling through life. You're just letting everything else control everything. And I'm not saying that we have to control everything, because it's not for us we can't control everything. But there's so many things. Being aware of yourself, setting your intentions each day, focusing on being grounded, checking in with yourself, seeing how you're feeling. Are you thirsty? Making sure you're drinking plenty of water. Remembering we're mostly made of water. And if you're not giving yourself enough water and you're drinking soda and tea and coffee and stuff all day long, you're not nurturing yourself. You're not honoring this vehicle that we get to be in while we're here, because we get to be here. We're lucky to be here. I feel like we're very lucky to be here. We get to gain a lot of experience. Some of us probably have gained a little bit more experience than others, but it's like we get to be here. There's a lot here that we get to experience, because then you think about all the other things we get to experience, the laughter of kids and, watching your family grow up and seeing people come together to help others. I mean, there's just so much things to witness. There really is, that we can appreciate, but it's again, turning your eyes to what makes you happy.
And we're shown more, if you rely on social media and the TV, you're shown more about what's not working than what is working. So when Bev says, all these people coming together, helping others, doing good deeds, shining light on other people's lives, we very seldom do we see any of that on TV. And unless your algorithm in your social media is set to show you things like that, you're going to see the opposite. And when you really understand how social media works, it's very interesting, because they're going to show you what is keeping you active in your social media platforms. And that's what they want. It's all about your attention and your time and keeping you engaged in their platform, because the more activity there is, the more funds are generated to benefit the investors. And so it's just being aware that you get to choose that too. You can choose to sit on social media and scroll and like this and love that. How is that contributing to your own life though? Because and I'm guilty of it too. There's moments in the evening I'll sit and I'll watch some videos that just crack me up. And sometimes I need that relief of some laughter in my day. However, it's not a 4-hour, 5-hour session. Let's put it that way. It's like 20, 30 minutes done. So just be very mindful. How are you spending your time? Because your time is about what you make of it. And we know if we didn't have clocks, how much freedom would that be if we didn't have clocks? I mean, that's just an amazing thought. So be aware. What are you doing with your time? Because you can't get that time back. And that also goes with how you're feeling. So like Bev was saying, I can choose to be in a space of sadness or frustration, or I could be in a space of exhilaration and adventure and excitement. And it's a matter of my thought is like, when I read a book, I take the book and I put it on the shelf, or I give it to somebody else, unless it's a super good book that I know I'm going to reference. So most of my books are like reference books because I just keep them all. I love them all. But if you're reading, romance book, a lot of times, and I've witnessed this, a lot of times the women, they read it and they give it back to the library, they give it to somebody else, they get rid of it, whatever. Like they don't read the book again. So we could think about our own life like that. It's like, okay, I read the first 50 chapters. I'm done with that. I can give it away now because I'm writing a new chapter and I want to focus on this chapter instead of the past chapters. And past chapters have helped me grow and learn and expand and provide wisdom. And I'm going to hold on to those pieces, but I don't need to hang on and keep the rest of the pages that stirred up the trauma and discord. So just be aware of that. You're writing this chapter right here, right now. And you can make it an amazing story for people to enjoy. I mean, you have to enjoy it first and foremost, but if other people were to read your story, would you want them to be uplifted, or do you want them to be in deepest, darkest sadness with you? Right? So this is something I think about. I'm like, if somebody's going to read my chapter, I want them to come out of it with something that's going to lift them up. That's the end result.
When you think about it, everything that you just said really talks about feeding the soul. Because so initially it's like whatever you're watching. So if it's, the media, it's whatever you're reading, that you're absorbing, that your soul is being fed that. And when you were saying that stuff, I was thinking, yeah, it's like, am I going to eat fast food, or I'm going to go eat some good food? Good food meaning something that my body is desiring, that my body wants. Peter's blowing right on me. Something that, that's going to nourish me and give me energy, because fast food doesn't usually give me energy. I'm usually tired afterwards. Excuse me.
Getting her all choked up over this conversation.
I know. But it's so funny because everything that we do is feeding our soul, but all of it it's all for our soul. It all is. It's like everything. I want to be that. I want to at the end of this physical experience, I want to look back and not think, well, I'll tell you what I want to think. I want to look back and think, man, I really lived my life. I really made myself happy, and how it affected everybody else. And they were so happy. And I lived in such joy that all those around me were in joy, and it just spread around to everyone like wildfire. It's like, that's the way I want to live it. It's like, you hear so many things, and it's like, I'm just reading Dolores Cannon's book. So one of them is like, even talking to this person that, he and if people believe in past lives, but it's like I mean, it's even beyond past lives. Now we're on other planets and everything else going on. And he's like seeing that he's like working for this person that's like very power hungry. He knows how to use power, knows how to disappear through things and come back. Things that we could do as well, but it just goes to show you the other opposite side of how things can get abused. Or then because he liked the person, he liked being looked upon as a god and everything like that. But then it's like, it wasn't, when the guy gets to the end of his life in this journey, it wasn't about the other person that he was talking that was egoic and everything. It was about everything that he didn't do. He just kept looking at things like, I could have done things so much differently. I could have lived life. I could have, listened to my guidance and helped guide. Or because all these people were so used to someone else telling them what to do all the time, they didn't know what to do. It's like this person disappears and now nobody knows what to do, and they're leaning on this other person, and he's not even trying because he doesn't think that he's even worthy of any of this information. There's so much information that's in that little story. It's like, it was never anyone's job to guide all the people. All, like you said earlier in the conversation, we're here to help give forward information that this is what's working for us, but we're out here, we're just learning just like everybody else. And it's like, if someone's got a great idea, I'm listening to it. If I get pulled in a direction and it resonates with me, I'm totally listening to it, and I'll practice it and I'll see how it feels within myself. So it's not leaning on someone else. And then the other part of it is, it's not, this person was so worried about what this other person was doing that he was abusing his power and all this other stuff, and he lost sight of himself. And that's what's so easy that we can all do. We can lose sight of ourselves, and it's just to turn that back inwards again. And it's like, it goes back to the same thing. What things make you happy? If you don't know, go for a walk. If you want to draw, sit on the paper and scribble for a second, draw circles, whatever, get up and go do something. It's constantly, you don't know unless you try. You don't know what you're going to like or not going to like. And gosh, some of these things can trigger your whole soul and help you remember, like, oh my God, this is what I was meant to do. Like someone getting lost in Italy and they don't even know how to speak Italian or anything. All of a sudden something happens and then now they're speaking Italian. It's like, it's just, these things happen all the time. It's just a matter of following all these breadcrumbs we've left for ourselves and different ways to live life and live it to our fullest, instead of, I don't want everyone to just look at me like, when my clients come in for massage, I don't want them to think that I'm the only one that can help them with this. They're the ones that help them with this. They come in and then they let me help them, give them different ideas or a different perspective on things. And then they can walk out leaving and feeling good because I can see a bigger picture, because their problems aren't mine, it's theirs. So I can see it from such a higher space. I mean, there's just so many things, but it's like, it's not one person. I follow several people and I don't like, I take whatever resonates with me, and not everything resonates with me. I don't worship them. I don't feel like they're it. I feel like, oh, that's some good information for me right now. Just I could see someone had written in the sand and it might mean something to me. So it's just, there's always these little pieces that help guide us, and just to know. And the only reason that we saw it is because that guidance inside of you said, hey, look over there for a minute. Oh, look at that. And then you catch things. So it's like, and so I'm answering my own question. It's not one thing. It's never going to be one thing that says this is the right way, because we're always constantly growing. We're never going to get it done, right? We're constantly evolving. That's just the way it is. And there's always going to be something new. And that's why working at a job that's a 9-to-5 job every day, and it's not something that's your passion, is it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good because you're not listening to that other, you're totally disconnected from your inside voice, from your internal guidance.
She said so much in that piece. I was just like, oh my gosh, we could talk about that. We could talk about that. I'm going to go back to when you said, he was telling everybody what to do. And then when he was gone, they didn't know what to do. Right. First of all, it's controlling. Right. Yeah. We want to be the person to tell everybody what to do, when to do, why to do. And then if something happens to that person, they don't know how to think for themselves. They're not empowered with the tools to help themselves within their own lives or to help each other. And so then they're going to be bumping around trying to figure it out on their own anyway. So that's what I think about when I think about children, is we as parents, moms, we want to hover over our children, or they call them helicopter parents or something. I don't know. But we hover over our children. We're trying to protect them from every single thing. We're trying to, tell them what to do because we think it's in their best interest. And really we're just teaching them from a position of what we know and what we've been taught. So doesn't mean that the way you do it or did it or what you believe is the way. And if anything happens to you, how is this child going to learn to function on its own? And that's why I love I love nature, and I love the idea that, a bird high up in a tree has her little baby chicks, and then what does she do? She freaking pushes them out of the nest. Fly. You're going to learn to fly real fast with that, right? So and instead what we do is we try to keep them under our wings and protect them, and that's not what they were here for. We're spirit and body. We're all here for growth and expansion, and so are our children. And our children are going to have new ideas and see things differently, and they're going to teach us as we get older, and we're going to learn from them. And it's just an amazing give and receiving of knowledge and information and wisdom, and thinking that, if we listen to the children more after they're born and when they start speaking, if we listen to them more, we would learn so much, because they're so much closer to source. And we're adults and we think we got it all figured out. And you know what? I call bullshit on every single one of you, and myself included. I don't have it all figured out. My son even mentioned to me like a year ago, he's like, when I was young, I thought all these adults around me had it all figured out and they got it together and all that. He goes, and then as I get older, I realize they really don't. And I'm like, no, none of us do. None of us do. I don't care how many billions of dollars you have or how poor you are. None of us have it all figured out.
I don't. Well, it's like you go back to the whole kid thing. It's like, that's fear. It's teaching fear. And I don't know, I'm innocent. I'm not innocent of that either. I was gonna say I'm innocent. No, I'm not innocent of that either. Because I was constantly worried that, be careful. And it's like, and I was, even with my grandson, I think I was, and it's like now my granddaughter, I'm like, I just, even with both of them now, I just kind of sit back and I play with them. So we go play and stuff, we run around, but it's like, I'll watch her go to make a move and I'm thinking, oh my God, this girl, she's got to figure this out though, because if I tell her, hey, your foot's on the edge, you're going to slip off this thing. Not saying that she's at the edge of a, high rise or anything like that. We were walking on a little slide that was laying on its side or laying on its belly. So we're walking on the back of the slide and she's walking on it and she's turning, but I'll tell you what, I didn't say anything. I just watched her, and it's like, miraculously, that girl stays on her feet all the time. We're walking and she's like looking at me talking, and then she's barely misses stepping onto a rock. And typically I would have been like, oh, watch out for the rock, you're going to fall down. That's creating such a fear in that person. But that's because that's what we know. That's what I was taught.
Right.
So that's what I taught until I started going through this evolution, which was probably around 40. I think it started way before that, but I think it really started getting going when I was in my, 40. I think it was right around that time. And it's like, it really started, like, this humdrum stuff is not working for me. This is not. And then it's like such a realization for us to even get to where we're at right now. Even a couple of years ago when we were talking about taking care of yourself, that it's not selfish to take care of yourself. And now it's like, that's like like anyone that thinks that anymore, like it's selfish, is like, what? That was like that's like so many years ago. We're way beyond that already. But that's not selfish. This is, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. It's not possible, because eventually you're going to get run down and then you're down. Period.
Yes. And that's, you talked about that earlier in the conversation, was if I just keep pouring into other people and making sure their needs are met and making sure that they feel good, or making sure that they're being consoled or comforted, or someone to talk to, like if I just keep pouring myself into other people like that, I get so drained. energetically and physically and mentally and emotionally. And then I have nothing more to give, and I'm exhausted. And I just, what our friend said was, I just want to curl up in a ball and cry. Well, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Because you're just absolutely drained.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I do not maintain myself and take care of myself, then that's where I will be, in a fetal position, exhausted. I did it for many years early in my life, and I learned. I took really good notes in that class, and I'm like, no, listen, I need to go take a nap. I need to go for a walk. I need to go be by myself. I need to go have a bubble bath. I need to go read a book. I need to go watch a funny movie. It doesn't matter what it takes for me to fill myself up. I have to fill up my energy, my connection to spirit, to source, and lift myself up. That self-love, that self-nurturing, self-care, self-compassion. Like, I got to do all of that for myself. And now, if I'm doing that on a daily basis, I'm prepared. If somebody comes to me who says, oh my gosh, I just lost a loved one, and they're beside themselves, and I've already been filling my cup up every single day, getting grounded, meditating, saying some affirmations, listening to some uplifting music, whatever it is, I'm doing it every single day. I'm filling my cup up every single day. So I am ready. So when I get the notification, my spiritual guidance tells me something's coming up, I can suit up in my spiritual armor and I'm ready to go. And I'm aware this is going to take some energy. This is going to take some mental, emotional, and physical strength, but I'm already there. And most people aren't living their lives that way. They're disconnected, they're exhausted, they're drained, they're tired of their job, they're tired of the mundane, they're tired of being stuck in the mud. They're not filling up their own cup. They're not filling up in their spiritual connection to be in a space of joy and have a higher vibration. The vibration is so low, and then everybody's trying to help each other and exhausted. Like, that makes no sense. So when you start thinking about things in that perspective, it makes no sense. The other thing you talked about was, doing the 9-to-5 job. Early in my life, because of the trauma that I had, I was asking, is this all there is to life? Is this experience trauma and then I'm going to die? Well, this fucking sucks, God, and I'm not up for it. Like, I'm over this. So you need to give me some answers here, buddy. Right? I mean, that wasn't nice in those days. Okay, so I started getting answers, and then it was, okay, now I'm showing up at work every single day. I'm doing this. I'm getting put down. I'm getting run down. I'm overexerting myself for this job to get money, to get benefits. It's the rut. It's the cycle. It's just get up, go to work, come home, take care of the family, go to bed, get up, go, right? Every single day, same, living for the weekends. Well, okay, is this all there is to life, God? Is this what we were here to do? And then the answers start coming. And so just just recognize that when your spirit starts calling you to do something different, start moving in that direction. Just start moving. Take a little baby step in the direction of something that's going to help your heart sing, because you're just going to be in that, what we call the rut, right? It's just in the rut until you take your last breath. And that's it's a common saying, I forget who wrote it. Wayne Dyer references it as well, as like, a guy's laying on his deathbed and said, what if my whole life was wrong? I mean, I watched my grandfather work over 30 years with a company, and then retired, and I think it was within 10 years of being retired, he died. And it's like, is that what life is supposed to be about? I mean, it just didn't make sense in my head. So here I am being a light worker, because I feel like it doesn't matter what we're doing, that we can experience joy, but we have to be in a space to experience it within ourselves.
And it's interesting. So when we start asking these kind of questions, we always get the answers, but things will guide you in a certain ways. Maybe for me, it would be a past life regression. You know what I mean? And then it's like, we talked about this before. You start getting the passion, like, oh, that's a good idea. I should go do that. And then you start talking yourself out of it because maybe the person's too expensive that you're looking at, or you're not sure, or you know what I mean? You present all this other information. And but the thing is, we get this guidance all the time, and it's going to guide us. It's not always, it guides us within sight, and yes, we can accomplish all these things from within ourselves, but sometimes we're so used to the outside stuff that I might be guided in that direction. And it doesn't mean that I shouldn't follow it, because then I can follow that direction and see what information comes up. There's a lot of information to be gained. I had a reading recently, and it was interesting. She said that I was like from a family of Cathars, and it was a lot of the secret teachings of like Mary Magdalena, all this other Magdalene, all this information that she sent towards me, and then saying that I was a pure. Well, I have not been pure in my lifeline this time, but I was a pure. Supposedly, I was a pure in this time frame, which I was pure. I was not. I was, I had these beliefs, and I always did, the right things and all this stuff, and I had this knowledge about music and harmonies, and like how I could actually levitate and move things with the tones and all this stuff, the energy of the music and it's like, then, being captured or by someone else because they wanted the information, and myself and my husband at that time refused to get the information. Well, we end up getting tortured to death. Basically, we end up dying. So it's like, you think about that. If that was a possibility, if that was true, then you come into this lifeline and it's like, well, first of all, you're not going to find me being pure. I'm going to get in trouble as much as I possibly can. I'm going to do a lot of things that wouldn't be considered pure. Have other people done so much worse things than I have done? Probably. I would say, yeah. But for me, it would have been pretty bad stuff, like I'm running away all the time and drinking all the time. And so I was so horrible to my parents for early as a teenager, growing up and doing all that stuff. And it's like fighting all this stuff because you have such a fear of having this knowledge that you already have within inside of you. And we all have this knowledge already inside of us, but we go through things in our lives, whether it's this lifeline or another lifeline, that created such fear. So we go back to that whole fear thing, and it's like working your way past that stuff. If you're afraid, and I don't know how I feel about this, if you're afraid to jump out of planes, and go jump out of a plane, I don't know if I want to say that.
I don't really agree with that one either.
I mean, but there's ways of doing things. Get up high on a ladder or something. I don't know. Bungee jump. I don't know. But there's just so many things that we can be doing to kind of slowly get ourselves beyond these fears without having to be thrill seeking at the same time. But there's just so much stuff. But it's like when this person told me this stuff, it was like, wow, that could make a lot of sense. Why it's so easy when we've been taught fear, that it's so easy for us to live in this little small area because it's safe, it's controlled. You know where your next meal's coming from. You know where your next paycheck's coming from. You know where your home is at. You know what I mean? There's just so many things that we can stay in that place that's the same all the time because it feels familiar and it's safe. Mm-hmm. Safe isn't growing.
No. And that's, a really good example of that is prisoners. They spend many of their time in prison, and they come out, they don't know how to function in the general public, and they do something to go right back in because it's safe there for them. They know what to expect. They know they're going to get the meal, the bed to sleep in, all that. So, yep, absolutely.
Making fear of the unknown. And there's nothing, and it's not, to me, it could be so the opposite, but I didn't know that my whole life. So it's like, I'm learning that here I am 50 years old. We're going to stick with 50. Here I am 50 years old. And it's like, now I'm realizing, hey, I've been living my whole life this way because I thought that that's how I had to do it because I was feared. You got to go to work. You got to go do this. You got to make sure you're taking care of the kids, which, taking care of the kids, but taking care of the kids wasn't the helicopter parent, flying around, making sure that everything's safe all the time. there was so much more, but all of it was generated by fear. The media is generated by fear. All of this stuff, a lot of religions, there's fear. I don't know of any religions, and I'm not saying I know all religions, but I don't know of any religions that aren't promoting things. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. That's fear. So it's like, it doesn't feel good. It's going the opposite direction of that.
Yep. And controlling. I would just come back to that, controlling. Wow. Bev, for two people who didn't know what they were going to talk about for an hour, here we are.
An hour later, yeah.
How awesome is that? That's just the way things unfold. It just takes a moment of a conversation and phew, there we go. So do you have any other words of wisdom?
I would say take time to have the conversations, to have deep conversations. I mean, you can have them with everybody, because this is co-creating. This is how we evolve. This is how we get different ideas. I mean, there's just so much, there's a benefit to it. And it's not like, hey, how was the Super Bowl? I don't know. I didn't watch it. I mean, but it's like, hey, there's something more going on than the weather outside, but we can include the weather. That can start out like, oh yeah, it's quite windy outside. There must be a lot for me when I'm saying that. There's like cleansing of the earth. There's a lot of chaos in the world right now. This is the wind is like it's blowing away stuff. Or exposing things. So you think about that. Wind exposes things. It brings stuff to, it moves dirt and everything else. So it's like, there's just a lot going on. So we can start out the conversation like that, but it's going to evolve into a deeper conversation, because that's what's important. Because this helps us, because we connect and we realize, wow, there's so much more information. And then you start recognizing the things that you're saying to yourself, or saying to give advice to someone else. And you're like, oh, that was for me. Wow. Just gave myself some more information. And I was listening this time. So it's like, take the time.
Yep. Take the time. I would say take the time to be grounded in your body. Take the time to fill your cup up. Take the time to experience joy that is generated from within, not from outside sources. For the most part, generated from within. Let me put it that way. Because sometimes we do need the triggers outside of ourselves to get us there. And I get that. Like a funny movie or a baby laughing or something like that. But know that to fill your heart with love for yourself. When you get in that space to fill yourself up with love for yourself, then can you pour that out towards others? The people will just automatically receive it because your cup is so full. It just automatically pours out to others. And so that's where we would our practice would be, is to increase on our self-love for sure.
Absolutely. And you don't have to do anything. Like you just said, it automatically generates.
And how easy is that? I mean, it can be that easy, but you know what? People see the hard part, self-love.
Yeah.
So there's the practice. And when you practice that more and more and consistently, then everyone else will just feel it. I have people tell me, I love, oh, are you coming to my party? I'm like, okay, yeah. Oh, I love it when you come around. I like being with you. Yeah. And I go to parties, I still have introverted aspects, and I will be very quiet. I don't hardly say anything. I listen to conversations. I, go in my own head about their conversation and contemplate what they're saying. And it's like I'm in my own world, but I'm around a bunch of people. And if I don't know people, yes, I will talk to them, and yes, I'll have conversation. But for the most part, I still have this thing of just about being quiet and observant. People just love my energy. Just being present. Like people just come and stand next to me. I'm like, do you want something? I'm thinking, are we going to have a conversation? What can I do? Why are you so close to me? But that's what happens when you're filling your cup up and your heart is full of love, and you're experiencing joy within yourself, and that grounded and peaceful sense. With people are seeking that. They're seeking that. Just like in this class I had this weekend, these ladies asked me, they're like, can we do this every month? because they're seeking that space of feeling loved and accepted, feeling a sense of relief, a sense of connection, a sense of human touch. Like people are asking for it and seeking it. And so fill your cup up and you'll see how amazing things are. You'll see, you will see through your eyes differently.
Absolutely.
All right, my friends, that is Tea Time with Amie and Bev. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We know you could be doing anything else with your time and energy, and you chose to listen to us. Thank you. You can find us on YouTube, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, and Facebook, and Spotify. And you can also reach out to us through email, amieandbev@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. So any questions or comments that you may have, please share them. We're open. We're all learning from each other. So any other words, my dear?
Nope, just make a wonderful week.
Make it an amazing week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.